Here are some worrying behaviors of victims of mental abuse by narcissists. Hearing from others who have endured the onslaught of mental abuse from a narcissist can give you insight into how to approach your own situation. This behavior could harm your chances of finding affection and achieving emotional fulfillment. A person's behavior may change for a variety of reasons. Emotional peaks and valleys are a reflection of an individual's conduct. However, one's behavior can be enhanced in the same manner as any other aspect of one's existence. The most evident and detrimental consequence of psychological stress is alterations in behavior. In this video, I discuss some of the symptoms narcissistic abuse victims may display. Depression and anxiety rank first. Do you know someone who never seems to overcome their persistent anxiety and melancholy? How much time and energy did you invest in checking on them to make sure they were okay? Specifically, what appears to be the issue? The narcissist may be mentally assaulting this individual. Being the target of unrelenting criticism is demoralizing. This is not as quick as the healing time for a bruise treated with cold compresses. Abuse of the mind results in profound, permanent wounds. Verbal abuse, which can be discreet but devastating, typically occurs when the perpetrator is a person with whom the victim interacts frequently or cannot avoid. If you anticipate future ill-treatment, you cannot expect to feel upbeat and content. Nothing even close to that has yet occurred. To be more precise, it causes individuals to feel so hopeless and impotent that suicide becomes an appealing option. What will occur next is unknown. Obtain medical care if this occurs. 2. Obedient issue. Compliance implies doing no more than is strictly necessary when one's actions are in accordance with what others want or expect. Obedience is a mental state in which one always chooses to comply with a command, despite the fact that doing so would be against one's values or principles. Compromising involves agreeing to do something that you would prefer to avoid. Those who have been subjected to mental abuse typically become extremely obstinate in an effort to prevent further damage. In addition, they may place great importance on their relationships with the abuser and or others. 3. Excessive self-doubt and inability to trust one's own discernment. Anyone who has personally experienced mental maltreatment can attest to its destructive potential. This causes the victim to feel humiliated. In this depiction, they come across as vulnerable and defenseless. Due to fear of censure or isolation, many individuals who have experienced trauma avoid discussing it. Obviously, this is not the impression anyone wishes to make. Despite their best efforts, victims are consistently portrayed as vulnerable and defenseless. As a form of psychological warfare, perpetrators frequently remind victims of their identities. Hearing such vile comments on a consistent basis will cause severe psychological damage. This will cause significant injury to people's trust. They are emotionally unstable and incapable of self-regulation. The brain is the control center of the organism. It exerts complete dominion over the individual. This is the first step before doing anything else. It receives data, analyzes it, and then determines its next course of action. As a consequence of mental abuse, the victim's ability to control their faculties deteriorates, and the body's many systems rebel. The patient can no longer control their own emotions, desires, and impulses. Without severe consequences, moderation is a requirement that cannot be neglected. It causes individuals to say and do things that they will later repent. Irrationality, the tendency to act or react without sufficient justification. Extreme emotional manifestations, such as hysteria or hypersensitivity. Psychopaths rob their victims of the capacity to reason. Their victims are taught false beliefs that are not always harmful or biased. This viewpoint holds that victims are entirely expendable. As a result, the victim's subsequent thoughts and actions are incorrect. It is normal to feel intimidated when falsely accused of or judged negatively for something you did not do or do not have. 6. Gloominess and despondency. Exists in your life someone who never seems to have a positive attitude? Existe tildes individuus qui nisi preoccupant de rien apart de leur survie. A person who is so anxious about themselves and the world that they are on the verge of despair. A person who has been subjected to mental maltreatment may lose confidence in themselves and their ability to face future obstacles. A pessimist regards the past, present, and future with pessimism. They are less optimistic and anticipate the worst. It is believed that negativity toward the future is intentional. One consequence of mental maltreatment is defeat. Depression is the only appropriate emotional reaction to such humiliation. If you have lost confidence in yourself, you may feel unworthy of pleasure, taking every precaution to prevent harm from occurring. Unproductivity, number 7. Eventually, a victim of mental abuse will lose interest in even the things they once relished. Despite having access to all available resources, they have made little progress. They are aware of what must be done and are confident in their ability to complete it, but they do not wish to do it. Due to the treatment they receive from narcissists, they have learned to always anticipate the worst. So, a pessimistic outlook on life, particularly if you believe no one appreciates your efforts, is detrimental to your pursuit of meaningful accomplishment. They lose all sense of responsibility and safety at number 8. Psychologists define recklessness as a flagrant disregard for one's own or others' safety. Under duress, victims of mental abuse are more likely to make hasty decisions, which can lead to a destructive cycle of codependence with their abuser. This is because abusers frequently position their victims in physically and mentally stressful environments. Taking matters into one's own hands almost always makes the situation worse, producing a catch-22. As a consequence of their emotional and psychological torment, they will become irresponsible or incapable of making sound decisions. 9. Resentful. It is distressing to receive maliciously negative words or thoughts. After witnessing or experiencing an abuser's harsh actions, it is understandable for the victim to experience resentment toward the abuser. When abused individuals reflect on the awful things that occurred to them, they are frequently filled with resentment and a desire for vengeance. The time will arrive, particularly for narcissists who appear empathetic, to demand retribution, exact vengeance, and rationalize one's horrific experience. If you have been subjected to a narcissist's requests for special treatment, you have likely had enough. Because of this, you intend to bring them to their knees and revoke their power. Unintentionally, victims direct their anger at those around them, rather than the narcissist, whose behavior they know will not alter. 10. Unsettled. Those who have experienced emotional maltreatment at the hands of narcissists are notoriously hard to empathize with. They conduct appropriately due to their fear of the narcissists. Disquieting qualities, such as exhibiting symptoms of tension or restlessness. The victims struggle to remain seated. People are too diverted to perform lengthy tasks. Their fidgeting may be the result of anxiety or tension regarding a non-existent threat. Anxious individuals can benefit from nail-biting, tapping their feet, and tapping their fingertips on a tabletop. You or someone you know may have experienced or currently be enduring narcissistic mental abuse. As a consequence of escaping emotional or psychological abuse, the majority of survivors report altering their behavior. The ability to engage in the aforementioned behavioral modifications may facilitate the victim's recovery. If you desire exceptional results, it is prudent to consult an expert. If you found value in this video, please like and subscribe. If you find this information to be accurate, please view my other videos about narcissists.